and everything. This is the one which we last completed. Let me take you guys straight to the last one. Right. We covered this one.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. I showed you how to search and all those things, right? How to see the
No,
objects. Basically, this
no.
talks about.
We haven't done that one.
We haven't done this one. Okay, let me
No.
start with this one.
Can you give me the permission?
Sure. Which one is Naniki? Okay. All right. So we have completed Chef so far. We have seen how Chef server is installed and configured. We see how Workstation is configured to work with the Chef server, and then we bootstrapped a machine, and then we saw how we create a cookbook and how we write recipes and all those things, right? So continuing on that thing, let's see what is a node object. Let's check it out. I think we have already seen that what exactly is a node, right? It's a any physical machine or any virtual machine. It can be a cloud machine, right? Typical examples are your VMware machines or your Azure machines, Hyper-V, or your AWS machines. Any of these things can be Chef node. Even a Docker box or Docker image can be a Chef machine, right? A container in Docker can be Chef. So any of these can be a node, and apart from these, if you remember, we spoke that even a router or a switch can also be a node in case of Chef. It can be also be a Chef node as long as we are able to install a Chef client on that machine, right? So each and every node, it has got a node object. Okay, there is a node object for each node saved on the Chef server. Okay, and the node object is the representation of that physical node within Chef, and that is in JSON format typically. Okay, so JSON, for the people who don't know, JSON is a JavaScript object notation, and this is typically what XML is used for, basically for data transfer, and you save the data in JSON format. It's typically in a key value pair where you have a key, for example, server, and then you have a name, a value of the key. So server colon something like node 1, node 2, node 5, anything like that, or say web server or a DB server. It will have a name. So a key and a value. That's a typical JSON format. It's a last couple of years, it has become very popular. That because you can manipulate it, it's extremely lightweight to keep and store, and very easy to manipulate, and it works in a very efficient way when we are working with a lot of data in our in any of our coding. And best part is it supports multiple types of coding. You can have JSON format in any of the languages, starting from Java or C or .NET, Ruby, Python. All these languages they support JSON format. Right? And the third thing is when you're writing recipes, the node object is always available to you. Right? So when I say node object is available to you, that means that you can manipulate. So typically, node object will contain. Let me show you. This is what node object looks like. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, you have a number of options, right? And all these things, if you see first one, or if you come here at the bottom, Perl, and if you see version colon, and then version, that value is 5.14.2. So version is your key, and 5.14.2 is your value. So key value pair, and each and everything, if you see, it has got a key value pair, right? And this is a typical object notation, what we are talking about. So it will have all the details about your node. Each node object for a particular node will contain all these details. It will have the machine detail, it will have the architecture, it will have the memory, CPU, storage, LAN, WAN, anything which is existing on the server, it will have the details in this format, right? And when I say we can manipulate or we can use it in the recipes, typical example how we do it is like we have an example. Say we have 10 Windows servers, and a couple of them are 2008, and a couple of them are 2012. Some of them are 2016. You want to do something. You don't really know which are 2008 servers. You want to target a particular recipe, and you want to say that this should run only on the servers which have got 2008 as their operating system. So that is something you can do this with the help of node object. So node object will have a property called platform. Platform will contain say Windows or Linux or whatever it is. It will say platform OS. It will mention whether it's 2008 or 2012 or 2016, or if it is anything else apart from these. So it will have those details. So based on that attribute or that value, you can actually manipulate that. You can target a set of servers, right? So we'll see in detail what exactly, how exactly we do all those things. What happens is the node is registered with chef server. As we have seen, when we do a bootstrapping, a client.pem file gets created. We have seen in the past, right? During authentication when we are covering, we saw that a PEM file gets created. So along with that, a node object also gets created and it gets saved on the chef server. For each and every node, you bootstrap with the help of my bootstrap command, right? The chef server displays information about the node, and this information comes from OHI. Now, I think we have already covered a little bit that OHI is a small utility within Chef Development Kit, which you install on the Windows, sorry, on your workstation, which runs every time. In fact, it is there part of the Chef client also. So every node when you bootstrap, it has this OHI utility gets installed, and every Chef client run when you do. First thing which happens after when you run Chef client, it collects locally. It collects all the information about the node and keeps in the form of a node object, right? And if you remember, we had seen that after everything which happens, like when authentication is done, Chef cookbook is synced, cookbook is executed. After all these things are successful, at the end, the last step, if the overall Chef client run was successful, the node object will be uploaded to the Chef server. Right, so that's a typical flow. It happens how it happens, right? Chef server, we can see the node attributes or node object. Now we see, if you see on the screen, we have a node which is bootstrap, which is showing over here. If you click over there, you select the node, and then at the bottom come to attribute tab, right? If I want to show you on, if I can show you, that will be great. Okay, so I have this, not this. Okay, this is the one. Yeah, so I have now 2-3 nodes. So say, for example, take the example of this GitLab one. I select this and I click on attribute at the bottom of this tab. Let me just put it a little bit above. All these are attributes, and this is overall combining all these attributes is the node object which I'm talking about. Okay, and as you can see, it has got all the information right from networking related details, MAC address, kernel. If you see the kernel, if you expand it, you see the Linux is the name, release, each exact version, the machine architecture. i686 stands for 32-bit architecture. Even the processor is 32-bit. What is the OS? So it is Linux OS. If you have all these modules, right? So different aspects of your Linux machine. Then you have file system. All these things are mentioned. So then you have memory, right? And if I come over here, if you see platform is Ubuntu, OS version is 32-bit, I mean 3.2.023. That platform family is Debian, platform version is 12.04. So this is Ubuntu 12.04. So each and every detail, in a nutshell, if you see here, each and every detail is actually mentioned over here, and it is compiled and it is saved on your Chef server, right? So GitLab 1, we can, without logging into this system, we can come over here and we can check all these details over here. right? This is known as the attributes, right? And the collection of attributes is known as the node object. So in one of the future slides, we'll also see that all these are actually collected by the OHI, right? OHI is your, what do you call it? OHI is your default profiler, which collects all the information by default, right? All the attributes are default attributes. You have an option of actually creating attributes on your own, which is known as custom attributes. And we can actually define custom attributes at different levels. We can have it at the role level, environment level, recipe level, or attribute file level, right? There are different levels which we will be seeing in some time, how it works and how we define, how we create new attributes, right? There's a specific use case for this. Attributes is very useful when we are working with recipes and when we have a very dynamic environment, right? So this is where we see, this is where you have all the node attributes on the chef server, as we saw. And yeah, these are the two ways. I think we have already seen that knife node list will give you the details about your chef server. Meanwhile, just let me start the machine as well. I hope my workstation is working today as well, because every 2-3 days something happens and starts breaking. All right, so knife node list will show you whatever nodes you have bootstrapped. And if you do knife client list, it will give you all the nodes along with all the workstations, whatever you have configured. Suppose if you have 2 nodes and 2 workstations, it will give you 4 outputs, whereas knife node will give you only 2 outputs. So that is the difference. Okay. Now, every node must have a unique name within an organization. So node name, as you remember, when we bootstrap, we give hyphen hyphen node hyphen name, and we provide a name for it, right? So that name should be unique. It should be absolutely unique. You can't have the same node name for 2 nodes for obvious reasons, right? Then chef defaults to the fully qualified domain name of the server. So what it means by this is, let me show you another window while it is coming up. What actually happens if you run this command, say knife bootstrap hyphen, you give the fqdn, then you give hyphen x username, then you give hyphen p password, right? And then you give hyphen node hyphen name, and you give some node 1, node 2, whatever. If you provide this, then it will take this node name, right? Node 1, this is what you have provided as a name. So any node name which you can give, right? You can give it as inode. Whatever you provide, it will take over here, right? If you don't give this, say for example, you keep it only till here. You just give the fqdn, username and password. I'm sorry. That time what will happen, actually it will default, the node name will be same as the fqdn name. Okay, this will default to the fqdn name. Now one important thing is that for lab purposes, we actually use the node name. Okay, we give that switch hyphen hyphen node name or hyphen n minus n. We also give that, is also the same thing. For the node name, we give it only for the lab purposes. For actual enterprise environments, we don't use the hyphen hyphen node name. What we do is we make sure that fqdn itself is the node name, right? And if you see from here, whatever is the fully qualified domain name, something like in this format, server.domain.com, the same will be your node name, right? Node 1 we are doing only for our lab purposes, so that it is easier to work with in our lab purpose. But for enterprise environments, typically the node name, the hyphen hyphen node name switch is not used. Okay. And how we see the details now, let us see. I think it has come up, I hope. So switch.
Sherry? In your work environment also, will you do the same thing like a Vagrant up, Vagrant SSH every day?
Okay. Enterprise environment, you mean?
Yeah.
No, there we don't use Vagrant. We have directly Chef. See, this is for lab purpose, right? So I have Vagrant installed on my laptop.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
But there we
Only
have actual machines, right? Vagrant is only used for provisioning purposes, right?
provisioning, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
they will use directly check.
we do have, yeah, we have all the virtual machines. We have actually VMware environment set up, right? So we have all these machines set up,
Oh,
and we have a parallel AWS environment as well.
okay.
All right, so I'm on my workstation now. So if you remember, I have to first go to Chef repo in order to the knife to and to identify and work. Now I do knife, so knife node list. First of all, let's do this so that we get the name of the nodes. Okay, so we have three nodes. Let's do knife node show. Let's check a new node which is there, right? This is how you find the properties, the basic attributes, okay, of the machine. And since I don't have any run list assigned to it, so it's keeping blank run list roles and recipes. Let's see if we have anything for the other nodes. Let's check it for, let's say, git lab 2. Let's see what does it give you. So as you can see on screen, it tells you which environment it belongs to, what is the name of the node, what is the FQDN, what is the IP address, all those things will be there. So as you can see in the GitLab 2, we do actually have a run list. Apache test is part of the run list. And of course, Apache test and default is the one which is the recipe for this one. And if you see here, platform is Ubuntu 12.04 for the first node. For the second one, it is CentOS 6.7. So it gives you all the important details. If you want to see more details about it, then you need to do knife node show GitLab 2 hyphen L. You need to do. If I have done it correctly, let's see. It should show all the details. Yes, it is. So this will list all the details about that particular node. And as you can see, the list is huge, right? It has got so many information, and I don't think anybody can ever work with all of them together, right? So typically, you need only some of them, right? So as per your requirement, you make use of them. So let's just come back. Now, these are the attributes. Now we see how we can see the attributes, right? On the node, we saw it on the GUI on the browser, and now we saw how we can see it on the workstation for a particular node, right? So nodes are made up of attributes. Many are discovered automatically: platform, IP, addresses, number of CPUs, and all those things. Um, and many other objects in Chef can also add node attributes. So basically, we are talking about the first one talks about the OHI attributes, which comes automatically when you run these commands. I'm sorry, when the OHI is run at every Chef client run, these attributes are automatically collected. The second part talks about the custom attributes, which we create when we need to use for something, right? We can also create some attributes if needed, right? Our nodes are stored and indexed on the Chef server. So if you remember the last chapter, I mean last Thursday when we were covering the Chef client run, so that time we saw that node object is first collected locally, and once everything is successful, it is uploaded. So then it is stored on the Chef server and indexed. So when I say indexed, that means that you can search it. It is searchable. Okay. This is OHI, which we already saw. This is the typical and the same thing which we see. This is the same result, right? OHI is working over here at the back end, and we have all the details, right? So it talks a lot about a lot of things, and this is how you run it on a Chef node. So Chef GUI, we saw how we see that you just click on attribute button at the bottom, which is this one. This is how you have this is the one you have on the Chef server. Then on the workstation, you can see just like this. I just did right. Knife node show and give the node name, and it will give you all the details. Hyphen L for the complete list, right? The third option is to actually go on a particular node. Let's do that also. Let's go right. GitLab one, let it be. Okay. Just give it a couple of minutes. It should run up. Meanwhile, continue. So ohi is the command actually which you give. You just need to go to any node and just type ohi. Okay, that will give you all the details. Now, since you have already seen that it has got a number of details, huge list is there, probably 2,000 or 2,500 odd lines. And you can't like just go to all the lines, right? So what you do is you do use the less command or more command to see it in a sequential manner. Hyphenal, yeah, we already saw that once you use the hyphenal, it will show all the node attributes, each and everything, right? And J is for the JSON notation format. So what happens if you use this command, it will actually show the in the JSON format, like the one how it is showed in this particular. Just let me go this format. Okay, if you want to see the key value pairs system and all kinds of subnetting, right? All kinds of setting of attributes, then you actually use this command fj, right? Now we will see how we search a node, right? So let's come over here, right? Let's search a couple of things on the node, right? So what you do is knife search node. This is the format you give. So star colon star stands for everywhere for all the machines, and what we want to see is the FQDN of the machine, right? For all the machines basically. So FQDN, it will give you the results for the FQDN attribute, which is again collected by ohi. Now, as you can see here, you have all these details, right? You have 3 machines and all the 3 FQDNs are mentioned over here. This is how you search a particular property, right? Let's say instead of FQDN, let's search for plant form. Let's see what does it give us. Once again, we have 2 Ubuntu machines and 1 CentOS machines, right? Had it we have any Windows machines, it would have shown here anything whatever, because we are searching for this one for all the machines we are searching, right? So it will give us the complete infrastructure for us. Right? So that completes the node object part, and now you should be comfortable in talking about what exactly is a node object, what is a node attribute, how do you display all the attributes of a node. So then if you ask this question, then you should be able to explain how to see the node attributes on a server, on a workstation, and on the actual node. So on the server, you have the tab. You just need to go to the attribute tab. On the workstation, you can use search a knife node show and then the node name. That is one way, and you can search it with the search search command. And on the node, you just need to type the ohi. Let me show you if it has come up. Okay, I think it's up now. So let's go again to SSH.
Shari,
I'm sorry.
one question, Shari.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the names of the nodes is it case sensitive?
Yes, it is mostly yes, because we are working with Linux machines most of the time. So anything on Linux is case sensitive. Windows typically it is not case sensitive, right?
Okay.
And what happens is, you see, when we are working, we are not working with only, we're not working with Chef alone, right? So you need to you need to make sure that, keep it as a best practice that you always think about the case, because we are working always with a combination of tools like Chef, Git, Jenkins, Puppet, AWS, all are working in tandem with each other, right? When you actually work on DevOps. So you never know which one is not case sensitive and which one it is. So always think on the better side that it is case sensitive, right? That is one thing. Second thing, always keep it a habit of any kind of, when you do programming also, when you are assigning a variable, creating a node name, right? All these things, make sure you don't put any spaces. Spaces will kill your program. Okay, so right from day one, you make it a habit that you don't use spaces, and you always think of all the programs as case sensitive.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so all right, so we are here now on the node, right? So let's do hi. Let's first just directly start hi. Let's see. Okay, took a little bit of time, but now we can see, right? So let me do a control C for this one. Stop it. Still going on. So I don't know, probably 2000 or even more lines it has got. Okay, let's do a word count on this, right? Just to check how many lines we have on this OI. This is the node object for this machine, right? So the same thing has been uploaded to the chef server. That is why when you see the results, it will be same for. So this is going to take a couple of seconds. So just can you search for the CPU attribute of your node? So yes, what we can do is, I think I already showed you for the platform and for the this one. Now let's see our CPU. Let's see if we get any result. So for CPU, you have a lot more results. Why? Because CPU is a nested attribute. So we have multiple properties within a CPU also, right? So now depending on which one we want to use, we can just take it out, right? And we can use it. So you see here, it talks that it has got an Intel Core and i5 and all those things I mentioned over here. Let's clear this and let's see if we have the word count now for us. Okay, 3,482 lines. So if I divide by 2 also, it is like more than 1,700 attributes for one particular node object. So as you can see, it is very comprehensive and it keeps almost all the details, not almost, I think every detail about the node, because not only the hardware side, it keeps a track of your what are the packages installed on your machine. Those details you will also get. What are the users are there on your machine? Okay, it will keep all those details as well. So everything about your machine, it will have the details, right? So any questions on node object before we move forward?
No, for me.
Not really, but I mean, I was a bit lost. So I'm thinking.
Is that Rama? I'm not able to hear you, man.
I said I was thinking this one is clear enough, but I think I'm lost because I missed the last class. So I don't know if you sent us that video or not.
I have not sent the video by any chance.
For the last one, I mean.
Oh, I mean,
The
last class
last-
I've sent the video. Did I send a mail to you guys with the slideshow and video link? Vasu, Mihai, did I send it? Or
No.
because I remember I've sent it. Oh.
No, that only last one.
Oh. You guys should have pinged me, man. I also forgot completely. Now I realize that I have not sent it. Just now I realized. I'll send for the last, I mean, today and Thursday, both of them together. The answer. And then Karama, you can have a look. Important thing is like it's in continuation, but that was a different thing. This is a different thing. I think you were missing on the part where we are talking about the chef client run and all those things, right? So
I
go
think
to the
I
video,
think
you'll
so.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I am reading. I'm reading personally. I've created a chef server and all those cookbooks. I haven't gone into that yet because
Okay.
I missed that classes.
Mm-hmm. No, no issues. You work with that and you watch the video. You will understand everything. And, yeah. So, all right. So let us continue with this one. Okay. So let me just check. So this is the next one which we have. So we spoke about the attributes, right? We saw that OHI gives you the default attributes, and you can work with you can actually set up attributes on your own as well. You can create your own custom attributes as well. This is what this slideshow talks about. Okay, so we'll just see how exactly we see that we create a custom attribute. This is not exactly a very long slide. But in the next couple of couple of days, we'll see the rest of the things about it. So the whole idea is to create attributes on your own, right? Important thing is the attributes represent information about your node, which we have already seen. It gives you all the information about the node, and it can be auto-detected with the help of OHI, right? That is the default attributes. You can also set attributes on your node using cookbook recipes and attribute files and roles and environment. There are different ways of setting up attributes. Okay? You can see most of them here, right? And what happens is, what is the benefit of an attribute? The main benefit is that you don't have to change so many things in the recipes. Okay, suppose you have a recipe and you want to run on multiple things in multiple ways. Okay, so you can actually change things with the help of attributes. You change the attributes, the functionality of the recipe will change. You don't have to change the entire recipe to change a small thing, right? And important thing is, when you create a custom attribute, that again you can see it just the way you saw the default attributes. You can see it on the chef server GUI. You can see it with the help of knife search command, and you can see with the OHI command also on the node, right? So it's the behavior is exactly the same as your default attributes. Only difference is that this is created by you and not by the OHI. So there are a couple of places how the attributes are created or how attributes get created is, as you can see, that the most important and the most common way is with the help of OHI. So automatically it gets created on the node, right? Then we have different levels, different places where we can define or we can create attributes. So roles in environments, in cookbook recipes, and in cookbook attributes file, right? So we'll see them one by one. And if you see on screen, it is in increasing order of precedence. So what do we mean by that? That if it is a default OHI attribute, it will be the least precedent. If there is a conflict, say we have attributes at two different levels. So the attribute which is there inside the attribute file, the last option, that will have the highest precedence, right? So that will take effect. That is what we mean to say. We'll see it in action, so that will be it will be clearer to you guys. So this one, as we have already seen, this is the one which is set automatically. We saw it in the last slide also. And this is how we see, we set it in the attributes file. Okay, let's just take a look where exactly I'm talking about. If you see the location, so we have a cookbooks folder inside chef repo, and we have the cookbook name. Then we have an attributes folder inside which we have a default.rb file. If it is not there, we will create it. Okay. So let's just take a look first. This is our node, so we don't need for now. What we need is this chef workstation, right? So let's just configure that. So how we define is okay. Chef repo we are already inside. So we go inside cookbooks. We have oh, we don't have any cookbooks yet. That's strange. Oh, okay. So even I had the same problem what Nani had. I had a different workstation, right? And I had to recreate it. So all the, all the attribute files are gone. The cookbooks are gone also. Um, okay, let me see if it is there on the chef server. Then we'll skip the local creating part of it. So we have a couple of chef, cookbooks already created. Yes, and let's see if we have Apache. Let's see Apache test. I think that is where we would have the cookbooks. Yes, we have the versions also. Um, yes, if I see here, it is already created. We have it is the same thing, right? Yes, you just need to go inside the chef cookbook. So, for example, we can go inside the list, like cookbook, create. Let's new Apache, right? I'll give a different name this time so that it doesn't conflict. Okay, so I think now I will have a cookbook, new Apache. If I go inside new Apache, do ILL, as you can see, I have an attributes folder. I see inside attributes folder, do ILL again. So this time it is empty. I don't have anything, right? So what I do is I need to create a default.rb file. So how I do that? I do a vi default.rb, right? Now I have a text editor. Let's see what exactly we need to put here, right? So this is it's showing how this is the syntax of the the attributes which we are going to create, right? So first is the precedence, which is default. Then attribute name. This is the format we give, and the attribute value. So again, we have a key value here, right? Now let's see this in action. Then it will be more clear to you guys. Now what we have is we have defined our index. If you remember the Apache cookbook, we have an index.html file, right? Which is there in the home. That is the home page in the recipe. What we want to do is we want to change that without altering the recipe. If you remember what you guys were writing just now, cookbook underscore file path, right, where we had that hello world in HTML format. So that file, we don't want that to be shown. Rather, we want a different index.html file, index1, index2, something like that, right? And we don't want to make the changes in the recipe. Okay. So this is what we need to do first. First thing we need to do, create an attribute. So what I have done is, let's do default Apache. Open again. Index file equal to index1.html. Right. So I create this file. Now, if you see here, the important point, let me show you the slideshow. These two are the name of the attributes. So Apache index file should be this one. This is what we are setting here, right? And this time, if you remember, we had given index.html. This time we are giving the name as index1.html. So this is a different file, right? And now what we need to do is, at the same place where we created the last time, if you remember, we had a file created inside, right, for the index.html. So same way, we'll come out of it, come out of attributes folder. We are inside the cookbook now. We need to go inside files, and we need to let's see. We have a default folder also. So inside default, it should be empty now. Yes, it is. What we need to do is we need to create a vi, and we'll give the index1.html. This is the file name we will provide, because this is the source we are providing, right? We want this one to be present. Right. And once that is done, I'll not do this because it's already done in one of my other cookbooks. Once that is done, you just need to, and this one change here, source, if you remember last time, we had it simply index.html, right? That was the only thing which we had done. This time we are showing that source node is Apache index file, right? This time we are just changing the source for this one. Instead of hard coding it, we are giving a value, and it should be checking in the attributes folder, attributes of the codebook. Okay.
Are we changing in the same cookbook?
Yes, actually we are changing the same cookbook, what we had created in the last class. We already had the cookbook underscore file, right? So once you are practicing that part, once that is complete, then you need to do this one as well. So it's up to you. You can do this in continuation in the same cookbook, or you can create a new cookbook. That's totally up to you, right? So we are still continuing with that, and we do a knife cookbook upload Apache. Once it is done, we run sudo chef client. Once we do that, it will take effect, right? It will take effect as the new file which has been created, right? So we have changed the source, right? Now, one important thing what we are going to do is we will add this one more line, okay? So earlier, what we were doing, see, we have a source node Apache index file. This is the first source, the default which it should take, right? The next one, what we are doing node.default Apache index file. This is, we are mentioning directly over here. What's that? Meha, you want to, are you trying to say something?
No, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So now we will see, we actually want to show you the precedence of attribute here. We already have defined in our cookbook source, in the recipe, this should be the source of the index file, right? Apache index file, which is index1.html. Now in the same recipe, we are adding another line saying node.default Apache index file equal to index2.html. Obviously, once we save this one, we need to create an index file for our purpose, index2.html. So again, we'll go to the same place and we will create this another file, okay, which is the name is index2.html. Now, what will happen is with this one, once we upload this cookbook and once we do the sudo chef client, so what will happen? It will edit the recipe. The first line will be added, and index2.html will be added to the files location, default location of the files. Once you do that, this will show you the index2.html, right? Why it will show? Why it will happen? Because recipe value has taken precedence, right? This is what it is trying to show here. The important thing which I want to show is this one, right? So what happens? We have defined one attribute at the bottom one, this one, attribute file, okay, which is the first line. I mean, this line, this one, source node Apache index file. This is with the help of attribute file, if you remember. The second line we are adding is this one, which is in the recipe. Okay, so if you see this diagram, attribute file has a lower precedence, recipe has a higher precedence, right? So what has happened is, just give me a sec. Yeah. So what has happened is we have attribute value defined at both the levels, right? We have an attribute at attribute level as well as at a recipe level. But since the recipe has got higher precedence, so that one takes effect. And on this location, once this cookbook is uploaded, instead of, we have both the options. Both these lines are present on in your recipe, but the index2 gets higher precedence because that is defined in your recipe. It's not defined in your attributes file. That is why this output has come, right? So this is to show you the attribute precedence, right? Which one has got the multiple values, how it is going to work, okay? And as you can see in this screen, this one will show you now, right? Let me just, as you can see here, this index file colon index2.html. So this is now a value which is showing inside your attributes here on the chef server. So which we are talking about a while back. And you can see that as well over here as well. You can see that in your knife node show. that will also show your values. As I said, all these values will be same now. It will be showing, right? So attributes can be set in roles and environment. This we are going to look later on. So don't worry on this part. So this is the important part. So default attribute precedence. So highest priority is the one which is automatically set in O high. Okay, you can't override that easily, whatever is there. So for example, CPU value, say platform is already mentioned as Linux. If you create a custom attribute with the same name, platform, and you give other value, then it is not going to work. Okay, if you define in a custom attribute folder, because O high has got the highest precedence. And as you can see on the screen, then role, and then environment, then recipe, and the lowest one is the attribute file precedence. Okay. So that completes the attribute, the initial part of attributes. At least you have an idea now how we create a custom attributes, right? We will continue with attributes things when we are covering roles as well as when we are covering environments. So, so far you should be comfortable with these questions, which are there on your screen. Okay. So just check it. Let me know if you have any doubts on these things. And one important thing, guys, attributes is perhaps, according to me, the most complicated things in Chef. Initially, when you're running the Chef, trying to understand Chef fundamentals. So if you did not get the whole picture, no need to worry. We will continue to work on this, and you will have more clarity as we go along. Okay. So just check it out, and if you have any doubts, just let me know.
Okay. Sharik, like for example, now we are creating index1, index2.html, no? Like you said, the priority one will be the top now.
But it will be as per this this one. So we created index1 in attribute file and index2 in recipe. So obviously recipe got the higher priority, and that is why in this output recipe 2 is being shown. I mean recipe, because we have defined index2 in recipe, so it is being shown and not the other one.
Okay.
Right. So this is the the attribute precedence type. And again, this is not exactly the full one. We still have a lot more to cover. This is kind of a simplified one. Okay. So we'll see it more detail in the when we cover more. Tomorrow we'll see a little more about attributes. Then it will be. Right? So far, you should be comfortable with these things, right? At least you should have familiarity with these things, even if you're not able to get the complete picture, right? So what is an attribute? You should be able to understand. Where can attributes?
Sorry, Sharik, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So what is an attribute? Obviously, you should be able to explain what is an attribute. Inside a node object, we are talking about the variables or all these things, right? Then where can attribute be set? So obviously, first one is the automatic one, which is OHI, which is set up by default. Then custom attributes you can set at roles, environments, in recipes, and in attributes file. That should be your answer. Okay, which is I think second or third slide of this slideshow. So what knife command can you use to view attributes? So knife node search, and then the node name you will get. It will show you. So knife node show, sorry, not show. So how many levels of attribute precedence are there? So typically for us now, we can say 5 levels as per this diagram, right? And which takes precedence? A default attribute set in the attribute file or in a recipe, right? So answer will be obviously recipe, which we have just covered. So attribute file was taken over by the one which we have defined in recipe, right? So any questions, guys?
No, my part, no.
All right. So Vasu, Karamo, Mihai, you just work on it. I mean, you keep on working with your lab. You might not have questions now, but as you work, you face problems, and when you see things, you might come up with questions. So definitely you can ask me. And, today I'll make sure, guys, that I'll send you the videos for both of them. And okay. Practice. Just keep on practicing. Okay.
Vasu?
Yeah.
Vasu, if you can stay for 5 minutes, we can finish that one. Then you can work on today's one.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys continue, and since you don't have any questions for me, I'll close the session and see you tomorrow at the same time.
Okay, thank you very much.
See you tomorrow at 11:30 or sorry, what normal time, or can we come a bit earlier?
Same time, unless you have any problem. I mean, you guys are fine with the timing, right?
Yeah, like today we have started a bit earlier now.
I mean, for me, it's the same time. Actually, because of daily, for you guys, have the time has changed.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Right?
That's what I'm thinking. Okay, sorry. My 1 hour has been changed from it.
Yeah. So earlier for you guys it was 4:30. Now I think it is 3:30, right?
No, for me. I mean American
for
time.
you it is early, right?
American time.
No, but for you also,
Yes,
yeah. For both the cases. For you also it will be one hour early, I guess, right, Nani?
Yeah, for me also 1 hour earlier.
What is your local time, starting time?
Now it is 11:45 for me.
Okay, so I mean 10:30 we started, right?
Yeah,
According to your time?
yeah. According to my time, we have started at 10:30.
Okay.
Usually
We
we start
started
at
at 11:30.
Yeah, we usually will start at 11:30.
No, for now we'll keep at 10:30. I hope, and for guys in UK, the timing will be 3:30.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but on Thursdays, Sharik, I think I'll miss 30 minutes because I finish at 4.
What we can do, just remind me on Wednesday. What we will do, or Thursday we'll postpone it for half an hour. No problem from my side. We can do that.
Well, I don't want to drag the other guys, but as long as I can get the videos, I'll follow along. That's fine.
No, see, from my side, it's absolutely fine. 1 hour preponing or postponing is absolutely fine with me because I'm anyways 3 hours before I'm already at home from my office. Right? For me, the local time is 9 p.m. I'm normally back by like 6:30 p.m. So I can prepone 1 hour, 1.5 hours, no problem. I can postpone also. So if you guys just discuss among yourself, if you want to do that for a particular day, no issues from my side. Okay, and if you need to do that, Karama, you just let me know on Wednesday that tomorrow we are starting at so and so time.
Okay.
Right? Just discuss among yourselves. No problem.
All right.
All right. Okay, guys. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead, and tomorrow at the same time we'll meet.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Sherry, good night.
Good night. Bye.
Nani, is it all?